Choose eternal rewards. Do not give way to pride. For a brief while your strength is in bloom, but it fades quickly, and soon there will follow illness, repellent age, or the sword to lay you low. Your piercing eye will dim and darken, and death will arrive, dear warrior, to sweep you away. These words of warning come from the timeless British epic Beowulf and still resonate with us over 1,000 years later. For all of us gathered here, this week has been a break from our normal routines, and for those who have been present and preparing themselves throughout Lent and up until these recent days, this week has been a refuge and long-awaited blessing, one that has stirred up spiritual fervor deep within our souls. For others, sadly, this week has been simply a yearly reminder to check in at church for palm crosses, unction, and candles. Whether you are among the former or the latter, the wise and vigilant virgins or the foolish ones, those who labored since the first hour or those just now coming at the 11th, this week was built specifically for you. As King Hrothgar cautioned Beowulf, there will be a time in all of our lives when our eyes dim and darken. There is no alternative to this truth. Just as surely as all of us are covered in the darkness of our present surroundings, so too will all of us one day be covered by the darkness found within our own graves. To accept the fact that death awaits all of us forces us to act with purpose in the present. This week has served as our annual wake-up call to prepare ourselves to meet the King of Kings on his judgment seat. For no servant is greater than his master, and if our Lord, the King, the mighty Lion of Judah, can die, so too can and will we. This is the fate that sin and faithlessness had led us to, a fate that has plagued all of creation since our expulsion from paradise, an overwhelming and tragic fate, one that for thousands and thousands of years seemed like an inescapable reality, a fate that all those on earth and in hell alike thought had befallen our Lord Jesus Christ for good. But as Lucifer and his fallen angels will learn tonight, it is not wise to wake a sleeping lion. The third of the Eni, which we chanted on Holy Friday, goes as follows: Come, let us see our life lying in the tomb. He is there so that he may give life to those who lie in the graves. Come, as we see him from the seed of Judah, sleeping today, and let us say to him the words of the prophet, You bowed down and slept as a lion, and who shall wake you, O king? So arise by your own power, you who willingly gave yourself for us. Glory to you, O Lord. This hymn harkens back to the 49th chapter of Genesis, when the patriarch Jacob is giving his final blessing to his sons, and these are the words he gives to his son Judah, the tribe of our Lord Jesus Christ. You are a lion, Judah. From the prey, my son, you have gone up. As a lion lays down and bows his head, who shall wake him? The scepter will not depart from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet, until he to whom it belongs shall come, and the obedience of the nations shall be his. The lion, the king of creation, is the pinnacle of the food chain. He fears nothing. His dominion is all-encompassing. When he dies, it is not a result of an attack from any other animal. He, as Jacob says, simply lays down and bows his head in sleep. This is how Christ, the Son of Judah, died. Not because he was delivered into the hands of sinful men, not because of the beatings, the scourgings, the crown, the nails, the spear. Christ did not die because he was murdered against his own will, or because he fell prey to a greater predator. He died as a lion, as the Almighty King who willed it as his Father willed it, and gracefully gave up his spirit and laid down his head. Yet to Christ, death is merely a temporary condition akin to sleep. We see it when he raises Jairus' daughter in Luke chapter 8 and says, Do not weep, she is not dead, but sleeping. We see it again with his friend Lazarus in John chapter 11, when Christ tells his disciples, Our friend Lazarus sleeps, but I go that I may wake him. To the King of Kings and the author of life, death is just a light slumber. Now it is Christ himself who is sleeping like a lion, and who will wake the Lord. He has fallen asleep before. If we recall in Matthew chapter 8, when the disciples and the Lord were all in the boat on the stormy Sea of Galilee, in the darkness and despair, the 12 became fearful of death and rushed to wake the Lord who was sleeping inside the boat. Then he arose and rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a great calm. We now, like those disciples, are gathered in the dark, unsure and perhaps even fearful of our surroundings. We know we are in the presence of the Lord, but we are perplexed by his resting. And so again I ask, who will wake the Lord? Death is an inescapable part of human life. We had a birth, a beginning point, which means we also will have an ending point. This week, this holiest of weeks, if it has done anything, it is to make us understand that at the end of it is inescapable darkness. Even the best weeks, weeks that start with parades and crowds shouting, "Hosanna to God the highest," will all eventually end in darkness and death. But if we spend our weeks at the foot of the Lord, faithfully and fearfully in the presence of the King of Kings, the darkness at the week's end will be followed by the light of the timeless age to come. In a few seconds, this 2023 Holy Week will come to an end, but its ending will give way to a new beginning, a beginning of something far better and far greater than what has preceded it. Something not veiled in darkness or covered in sin and sadness, but something brilliant, something new and radiant, something bright. That is why we rush to wake sleeping lions. That is why we run to rouse the sleeping king. Tonight, the sleeping lion wakes. His lungs once again draw breath, and his roars can be heard from inside the tomb. Christ the King, who was asleep in darkness, is now risen from the dead. Come receive,